Hello, Playdate. This is Don.
This is Nick.
And I'm Ryan.
This week we are covering Playdate news,
Recent indie releases,
and having our 25th Boop-isode, celebrating with a new segment. You guys ready for this?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
We had to wake Nick up there. News and notes. We're ready to go.
Boop, boop, boop. You tried to get into that without my boops.
I was hoping. We forgot last episode. We forgot to mention Tiny Yellow Machine launched their Playdate news feature on the YouTube channel. So
Nice.
It's sort of like a short, I think it's like 17, 18 minutes, but it's just a bunch of news headlines, really well edited and crafted. It's like a little news broadcast.
Hey.
And he said he's recording tomorrow. So there will be an episode 2 or whatever, a more recent news episode
Fantastic.
on its way soon. So there'll be a link in the show notes. Be sure to check it out.
Nice work, Gant.
Yes, very nice. Nick, what else is going on in the news?
Did you all see this Verge article about Panic and how the Playdate is manufactured in Malaysia, but it can't be sold to people who live in Malaysia?
That's a shame.
Yeah, kind of a wild situation with stuff that's manufactured for export versus stuff that's manufactured for consumption within the country. So the good news is that Panic has mentioned that they've been working on that, and it seems like things may be shifting somewhat so that they might be able to do so. From the context of the article, it sounded like Panic just really wasn't sure how successful this thing was going to be, which makes a lot of sense. It is difficult to gauge that kind of thing, especially for a brand new style of product, not just product itself, but also the people who reside in the country that manufacture the thing might want to try it. So I think it's a good thing that they're working towards some kind of resolution for that. So
yeah, it sounded like there was a game dev community in Malaysia that was actively interested in playing it, but it sounded like Shopify had released new tools recently that make facilitating that smoother, but it was not available at the time of the launch of the Playdate. But Panic's working on it, so hopefully soon it's available in more territories.
Yeah,
it's an easy read too, so take a look at the article.
Yeah,
not too heady.
Just takes a few minutes.
Yeah,
there's even a picture
for the Ryans among you. Yes.
Speaking of the Ryans among us, yes.
Speaking of pictures, yes, tell us about this, Don. I'm very excited about this next one.
Goloso Games, I hope I'm saying that right, is releasing it's available now, a physical version of Spike 2, The Great Emu War, a very good Playdate game. But I think he made like 50 copies of a physical box version with a comic book manual, I think some decals and pins and stuff, but also a PC release. So if you buy the physical version, I think there's like less than 20 left now. In the past week, they've just been selling very well. But if you buy the physical version, you get the Playdate version and the PC version along with it. And if you've already purchased the game, you get a discount on the physical version. So shipping to the US is about $10, so $30 overall. If you live somewhere else in the world, shipping will vary, but it looks really great. He has a different artist doing the cover art, which looks awesome, kind of a throwback to NES or Famicom art, and I think he drew the comic book art and the manual.
Yeah, and I've been in touch with Jan. I was on the pre-order list as soon as I found out about this. The collection of physical products included in here just really tickled my fancy, and so I got in on this, and I have been in brief contact with him. And he says not only is there a PC version, but that this price also includes an itch key to get a Playdate game as well. So if you do not have this game already, it will allow you to get that game if you don't.
Yeah, So check it out. I've played both versions. The Playdate version might be a little easier in a way because you can crank as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on PC, you just hold the button. Or I guess I played it with a controller. So you have to level up your shooting rapid fire abilities. But it's easier on your hand. Like I can't crank very long. So I kind of preferred the PC version in a way because I could play it longer. And the soundtrack is great. So there'll also be a link to the album, the soundtrack, the Spotify version in the show notes.
All right, sweet. And if you want some more news and notes, you can head over to Tiny Yellow Machine because now it's time for boop 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 in the inventory. Don, what you got for us this episode?
We got a lot of great releases the past couple of weeks. From Dan B91, we have a game called Upward, which is free. It is a port of Matthias Falk's Upward for the Playdate. It's a single button game. All you do is jump up, and then different, I guess, items on the screen will cause you to move over, or you'll bounce off something's head. It was a Pico 8 puzzle platformer. I'm not super familiar with the Pico 8, but it's pretty fun. Definitely worth downloading if you've not played it. Highly recommend that one. Next up, Pocket Go, the world's oldest game. Name Your Price from Nathan Heffy. Somebody's got their cursor right in the middle of his name, so I can't read the whole thing. Ryan.
Heffley.
Heffley, okay.
There. Sorry.
And then Find the Poops. Normally, I'm not huge on poop games. So, this one is free. Oh, sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
Can we just go back to Go for a second?
Yes.
Let's go. Go is an extremely complicated game, and it, I believe, has only recently been solved in such a way that computer AI can beat some of the best Go players that exist. It is an endlessly challenging game. It is way too challenging for me to play, but Pocket Go is interesting. When I saw this, I was really curious because not only is Go AI really challenging from a gameplay perspective, because there's so many possibilities for how the game can play out, but also just to program all the different potential responses to a good player is like impossible almost. It took many years for somebody to figure that out on a much less resource constrained PC. So I was curious if there was a single player mode, but in looking at this, it's past the Playdate back and forth, which makes a lot of sense for a portable Go game you can share with a friend and play against each other that way without having to carry a board and stones. So I think this is pretty cool.
So Nick, riddle me this: is Go the same game as Othello?
No, not by far. So
okay.
Othello is a much less complex version. So,
okay, that's probably why I've played it before. All right. Moving on.
I was in the same boat as Ryan. I thought it was Othello, but yeah, okay. Have to try
Don,
this.
Have you played Go before?
I guess not. I've played Othello.
So. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Interesting. I guess we'll have to try it out. See what it's all about.
My brother was a ranked Go player at one point.
Wow.
So yeah, a fairly highly ranked one too. And the skill threshold between ranks was incredible, like insurmountable. So it was interesting watching him climb the ranks and go to tournaments and all that kind of thing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to take a look. I don't know. I think it might be on, I don't know. I'm sure I own it on something, but soon I guess maybe I'll own it on the Playdate because it's Name Your Price.
So Don, now that we've talked about a thinking game, tell me about Poop again.
Okay, so Find the Poops. It's a free game, and the reason I'm highlighting it from Arminian or something. Anyway, he made it for his daughter, who's a 3-year-old, not a 20-year-old. A 3-year-old. I remember when my kids were that age, you want to get them into video games, but some of the stuff is just a little too difficult to get them into, but it was fun for them to run around and pick up the poops, and that's all the game is. So if you want to get them into Playdate and they're having a hard time playing Zipper, have them try Find the Poops. It's free, and I appreciate that they're out there making games for 3-year-olds as well.
Mm-hmm.
There is value there.
Very cool.
Yes. And then next up is Sunflower Chess, which is a take on Onitama, and this comes from Tai. So yeah, I know Ryan, you've played Onitama, correct?
Yeah, I have. It's sort of like a pared down version of chess, and you're passing these very specific moves back and forth to one another. I think there's about 5 total moves you can make, and a much more constrained playboard than chess. So it's a really great like intro to chess like games for kids. And in looking at the animated GIFs they have here, they've really done quite a fantastic job of recreating Onitama. It's not called Onitama; it's called Sunflower Chess, as Don mentioned. But it looks pretty great. What are you thinking about this one, Don?
Yeah, it's a 2-player game, so you will need to play with somebody else. But man, it looks really, really well done on this small screen. Like the Playdate was made for it, and it is a fun game. Pretty quick playtime too. You can usually play a game in less than 10 minutes. So,
and name your own price. It's hard to beat.
Yeah, also worth a look. Next up is a game called Tender Root. It looks really cool. It's from Mr. Pergerson, and it's free. I tried this one, and I did not understand what to do, and there's not a whole lot of directions on the itch page. If somebody is in love with this game, let me know how to play it, and I'll go back and revisit it, because it looks like there's a cool puzzle game in here, and I love cool puzzle games. Not super complex controls or anything. So anyway, looks interesting. Speaking of games that look interesting, Elf Factory. Somehow I missed this or something. It just showed up at the top of the new releases, but obviously Christmas was like 2 months ago. So it's $3. It's from Neverall. It just looks like a neat puzzle game. So I've been wanting to try it out. I have not tried it out yet. But that's Elf Factory. Next up, Atom Blaster by Slyno. It's a Arkanoid or Breakout type game, but it's based on the 1988 Atari ST game Atom Smasher. There's a lot of these type of games on Playdate, but this one looks really fast and really smooth from the GIFs. So I'm pretty impressed with the way it seems to play based on the GIFs.
Super polished GIFs at a minimum.
At a minimum, yes.
Looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, 32 levels. This one's $5, and it's got a leaderboard. I love leaderboards on the Playdate, so I know Ryan does too. Mm-hmm. Next up, The Spirit Stone by Bill Smuggs or Bill's Mugs. We talked about this a long time ago, at least Nick and I did. This is an English translation of a game that was written in Tokipona. And I don't know Tokipona, but I played this one in English and finished it. And it is a fun little 20-minute adventure. So it's free. So definitely check it out.
Is this a pulp venture, or do they not say? It looks pulpy. Maybe?
It doesn't say. I think it's pulpy.
I'm pretty sure it's pulp, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I played the original briefly and was starting to teach myself Tokipona to figure it out. It's actually a really cool language.
Yeah, is there like a Cliff Notes explanation of what is Tokipona, Nick?
It's like an invented language, like Esperanto or something.
Does that mean like a program computer language or like a speak to a person language?
Speak to a person language.
Huh.
Or write on, paper language.
Interesting.
Or in a Playdate. But anyway, yeah, I'm excited for the English version, so which I will understand more readily.
Yes. If you I always forget the name of that Ollie Co game.
Life's Too Short.
Life's Too Short. Yes, my memory is too short as well. Life's Too Short. If you liked Life's Too Short, it's in a similar vein. A short little cute narrative. Cool. Next up from Don Swelt is Companioneer, which is a really cool Astroneer companion app. So Astroneer is, of course, not a Playdate game. It's an Xbox, Switch, PC game. Mm-hmm. Maybe PlayStation as well. But this helps you unlock the different planets. So it's sort of like game facts in your pocket on the Playdate. So it's name your own price, and I just love that it's another way to use the Playdate. We talked about in the past that King Gizzard album that they released on the Playdate,
Yeah.
which is just like a cool way to use the Playdate. Here's another way to use the Playdate. So it's like a second screen.
Wow. Huh.
Love it.
Pretty soon they're going to have Legend of Zelda maps where you can scroll around on your
Yeah.
Playdate.
That'd be great.
Get to work, Ryan. And last up this week is a game called Check from Ledbetter Games. I demanded that he release a video explanation on how to play this unique board game. Ledbetter had a board game in his mind, and he wanted to make it a reality. So it's sort of like a mix of checkers and chess in a way, but with a dice element as well. And he wrote out instructions. He coded it in, I think it's pulp as well, right, Nick, or something? I don't know. He put it on the Playdate, and he made a video on with basic rules and whatnot, and how gameplay should flow. And it's really neat. And even Ledbetter said that he cannot beat all of the different win states and whatnot. So it's between two. It's a 2 or 4 player game, and very well done. So check out Check.
And it looks like your demands were met, because I don't know if you've taken a look at the itch page recently, but hey, there's a video right up top.
He made a video. It's like 5 minutes long, but yeah, it definitely helps to see it in motion. Reading the instructions, I was like, oh, this is nice and complete, which I love about Playdate games, but I just was having a hard time wrapping my head around it.
So
very cool.
The only
Thank you for bending to Don's demands, Ledbetter.
Yeah,
appreciate
of course.
it.
Always bend to Don's demands. The only indication that this is a pulp game is in the file name itself. So I'm fairly certain this was made in pulp, but that is
pulp edition.
Yeah, it's intriguing to me.
Yeah, this does not look very pulpy.
Because designing a rule set like that in pulp, I would think would be fairly challenging. So, pretty neat.
Huh. Very interesting. Cool. Well, I think that wraps it up for our indie inventory. Am I right? Going once, twice, 3 times a lady? Yes.
Yes,
okay.
yes, of course.
All right, fantastic. Then that means it's time for dun 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 Pixel Panel. This is our new segment here as I peek all the levels, and we wanted to roll into our 25th Boop-isode with a bang, and this is how we're going to do it. So we, Don, Nick, and I, were talking and thought to ourselves, we really miss the experience of the season 1 releases when we were all playing games at the same time, like a book club, just like Panic told us would happen. And the season wrapped, and then we started choosing indie titles, and that is fun. However, we missed that sort of community aspect of being able to talk with one another about the same game. So we put our heads together and thought, well, what if we all choose a game together, and then we all play it together, and then we can talk about it on the episode in a little more intelligent and interactive way. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So each episode moving forward, one of us is going to act as the captain. And this episode, it's going to be Captain Ryan at the helm. And basically what that means is the captain is going to be in charge of choosing the game for that particular episode. This episode, I am choosing Cropbuster by James Gameboy. And so over the course of these past couple of weeks, Nick and Don and I have all been playing our little hearts out, and we are going to come together and discuss and disagree and make up and hug at the end, and then we're all going to walk off into the sunset together. But for now, we should probably talk about what the heck is Cropbuster. Well, let me tell you, Cropbuster is a lovely little overhead game. You are a worm, and you are trying to get away from these farmers. So these farmers, as they are chasing you, are spreading seeds across their farm. So if they catch up to you and occupy the same space or stomp on you, then away you go. Goodbye, Wormy. However, this game allows you to not only traverse the visible top layer, like an overhead view, but you can also sink below the earth and maneuver beneath the ground. Now, when you sink below the earth, you cannot see yourself. You are totally hidden. So the farmers cannot stomp on you at that point, but you've also got to be kind of aware of where you are and which directional arrows you're choosing so you can understand approximately where you're going to pop up. Now, as you are navigating underground, there is a direct one-to-one correlation of the moves that you're making. So if you move up 5, over 5, when you pop up, then you're going to pop up in that space. The way you descend below the earth is kind of cool. You dock your crank. And if you want to ascend to the top level of the earth and view yourself, you can pull the crank out. Kind of a neat little mechanic use of the crank there, James Game Boy. Nice work. So what the heck are you trying to do as a worm aside from not be stomped? Well, the farmers are planting berries, as I mentioned, as they walk around the farming grounds. They're spreading seeds in a very farming way. And as you duck below the earth as a worm, you are tilling the soil or aerating the soil. So when you maneuver around below the earth, then the seeds will slowly sprout and turn into flowers and eventually into berries. And when there are berries, you want to pop above the earth and go nab them. Every berry you get gives you 5 points. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it's every 40 points or 8 sets of berries. There is a new devil farmer that comes along and has a different mechanic than the typical farmers. So the typical farmers will stomp you, but there's sort of a honing in on where you are when you're above ground. They don't know where you are when you're underground. Whereas the devil farmer is not just meandering toward you at a slow pace. He will move toward you 1 square for every square that you move. So he's moving in direct correlation with you. So if you're trying to scurry away at a very fast pace, then he's going to scurry toward you at a very fast pace. So you got to be careful. Another mechanic that I thought I'd mention real quick is the fact that there is a fence all around the outside of the farm, or the rectangle of the screen, and you as the worm can loop around the farm, around the fence. So if you go out the left side, you come back over on the right side. However, the farmers cannot loop. I think that's mainly it for the gameplay mechanics. And I've been talking a long time. So why don't I turn it over to Don and Nick? You got to play this game over the course of the past week or two. What did you think about this? What worked for you? And, was this a great game or the greatest game you've ever played?
Nick, go ahead.
I really like the game. I love the sense of humor, especially the giant drawing of the dead worm at the end where it says "You're our squashed." Thought that was hilarious with the little X's on the eyes of the worm with its tongue hanging out. Doesn't sound hilarious when I say it out loud like that.
It's very morbid.
Just sounds real frightening. But anyway, it was really funny, and I showed one of my daughters, and she was laughing as well. So take that for what you will, I guess. But I thought the game was really fun. It was very difficult, though. So I had my best score. I still haven't topped it. The first game that I played. And the thing that I started doing was trying to see if I could find the edges of the game, trying to make the game easier for myself by exploiting different behaviors that the farmers had, as well as that the digging had, and so forth. So what I ended up doing, and Ryan, I'm curious your thoughts on this tactic because it backfired for me big time. But I had the farmers fill every single square with berries, with seeds rather. And then I went underground, and because you till the soil in random order and in random squares as you move around, um, I turned as much into berries as possible. Obviously, once the berries appear above ground, the farmers try to uh, harvest them. And so you will lose some berries through attrition while you're still cultivating the soil underneath some of the other seeds. Um, but you only lose a handful, and then when you pop above ground, you can quickly eat a whole bunch of berries and get a giant score. That was the theory. In the practice, what happened is the Playdate had some performance issues when there were 462,000 berries on screen. So
Are
it
there even that many sprites on the Playdate, Nick?
okay, it might not have been quite that many, but anyway, the point is that once the entire screen is filled with berries, there's something going on that causes the Playdate to absolutely churn, and it created some timing related issues for me that caused me to be squashed a little more frequently than I would have liked. So
Blaming the flippers, Nick.
yeah, exactly. I don't know, the sun was in my eyes.
Yeah, you can't take the glass off the Playdate, so what are you gonna do?
It is a problem,
But
not without a heat gun.
Nick, I have big thoughts, but before I yap anymore, I also want to hear from Don. So I'm going to keep all of your thoughts in my mind while I listen intently to Don.
Well, to Nick's last point, I don't know if we mentioned this was a game jam game. So it's possible that concessions were made just to get it out on time
Yeah.
rather than optimize, I don't know.
Performance.
Performance, yes, thank you. I keep getting thrown off by the images on the itch screen. The "you did it." I keep thinking, "Oh, there's a way to beat the game."
I know. I
That's
keep
just like
looking
the
at
high
that too.
score. That's the high score page or whatever.
Is that what that? I was going to say, I've never seen that. I've played this a bunch.
I think that's the picture that shows when it gives you your score, right?
I've never seen it.
Me neither.
I feel like I've seen it in the game,
Huh.
but I know I'm a better gamer than both of you combined.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, that goes without saying.
Did we figure out how to get not 5 points for berries? Because my score was like, I don't know, 84 or something. Do we figure that out? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, Ryan.
When you get a berry squashed by a farmer, it will subtract a point or two or something like that. So you're not getting anything different than 5 points. You're getting a point subtracted when that happens.
That's cool.
So with that said, Donathan, what are you thinking about this game? You played it a few times, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a little hard to read, and I thought I didn't realize there was a 1-to-1 when you're underground where you're moving. I was just like, I would go underground, go around in circles just to let the ground churn, and then I would pop up wherever. I didn't know where I was. And it wasn't until Ryan was telling me that the evil farmer moved when we move. I just thought the evil farmer was super fast and hunted me down because I was running so fast to get away from him. So that was a huge pro tip, that he moves 1-to-1, Crypt of the Necrodancer style when we move. So that was a big hint. And then I don't know. We talked about, or I don't know. Ryan kept wanting to talk about it in chat way too much, and so we were like, "Shut up! Let's wait till we record." So
to heck with spoilers. Let's spoil it.
If this was on, I think this game would work fine on like your phone or your console or whatever. I think it would translate well to other platforms. If it were in color, especially where the worm was pink and the background was tan, and the farmers were wearing blue overalls or something, I think it would make the game a lot easier. And I don't think you need a crank. I think you could just push B to pop up and down.
Yeah.
And it could be a 1-button game. Well, besides having to move around with the joystick per se, or the D-pad. So I think there's a lot of room to move with this really great concept that he has. Something similar to like a dig dug, or maybe the music moves when you move. I love that about dig dug, and I think that would help read where
Yeah,
where your worm is underground,
that's a great idea.
or
Yeah,
even
I like that too.
hitting different obstacles. Maybe it makes a donk sound when you hit a fence underground, or you hit a berry, or you're under a farmer. Maybe the music gets louder, or some sort of radar or something like that. I think there's just a lot you can do with this concept, and I really like the concept overall. It's just on the small Playdate screen. It still is a lot of fun, but you can see the limitations of the Playdate screen, and maybe the limitations of it being a Game Jam game.
Yeah.
Um, there's slightly there, but still, name your own price. Still a ton of fun. So I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you have a point. I do enjoy the minimalist aesthetic, the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you are a worm and the worm is a horizontal bar of pixels,
Yes.
and then as you inch along, it's like a little, upward carrot bracket.
Mm-hmm.
D- I enjoyed that, but I do agree with you that occasionally when your worm cursor is on top of another item like a berry or a flower or whatever, and everything's black, it's a little bit hard to tell where you are. So I agree that either color, which of course the Playdate doesn't have, or maybe even thinking about some alternate sprites, like if worm is over flower or berry or what have you, then there's like an outlined version or something in white so you could see yourself a little easier. Yeah, I feel like I'm on a pretty similar page as you, Don, with respect to there's a lot to love here and probably a number of different things that could just be tweaked and polished to make it even better. But Nick, I don't want to ignore your concerns that you brought up. You were talking about trying to sort of push the edges of this game and fill the space with seeds, and that is a strategy that I ended up using and getting some reasonable scores using. What I found, well, I found a few limitations as well. When I filled the board with seeds and then tried to dive underground and just dig, 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 and let a bajillion berries pop up all over the screen, then the Playdate wigged out. But if I would go underground after seeding the entire screen and dig, 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 dig until I got a berry or three or several, and then popped up and nabbed those and hopped back down, dig, dig, dig some more, and then popped up and nabbed those berries so that there weren't berries all over the entire screen, then it seemed to function better. And so I feel like, yes, you found a limitation, but I think what's interesting is being able to see, oh, okay, that's how you break it. But how can you maximize score just up to the threshold of breaking it and
Yeah.
and still continuing?
Yeah. The other thing that I experimented with was forcing the farmers to occupy the same square. Um, and that worked out from a avoiding the farmer's standpoint, but that has limitations as well.
What? Wait, how'd you do that? How'd you
You
force them on top of each other?
you can trick them based on their movement pattern. So
Oh.
if you move up and down, basically you can force them to occupy the same square,
Oh.
utilizing the fence. Um,
Nick's playing 3D chess already.
Well, that's a good idea if you're trying to get away from
Huh.
the farmers. True. However, if you are interested in collecting berries and then allowing the farmers to continue to seed the ground, well, now you've cleaved your chance of seeding the ground in half if you've got two farmers doubled up on a single square.
right.
So that would be a strategy that I would personally worry about if I were trying to maximize score.
Well,
Yeah.
can they, once they're on top of each other, they don't separate?
They do once a berry appears, one will harvest and the other will keep moving. So it's temporary,
Oh, okay.
but it's very useful, especially if you're uh, running into a lot of situations where they are seemingly always on top of you.
But Ryan, you're saying it's wasted time.
I I would not use that strategy,
Okay.
but maybe there's something more to it that I'm not
I don't want you guys to fight on
grasping.
here, though. So.
Yeah, Ryan and I will have a fist fight after this. We'll determine the winner. We'll let you know. One of the things that I thought would be a big improvement, again, if there was more time for James Gameboy to develop this into, a big full product, would be different sound design for above ground and underground. So you could even retain the same noises just with different pitches in order to indicate whether you're above or underground. Because at a glance, sometimes it was easy to forget. There's all these farmers running around. Where am I? And then, I'm underground. Well, now what square am I on? I've completely forgotten.
Yeah, I like that suggestion of potentially different music for above and below ground. And I can even imagine, like, with the capabilities of the Playdate sound system, you can even have like sort of a muffled
Yeah.
or a warbly, maybe almost underwater type of sonic landscape to the underground. That would be really interesting to see how you could just slightly change it to make it feel like it was being played through something, through dirt, through whatever.
Yeah.
The mouth harp and the jug.
There you go. All parts of the band. So yeah, I mean, those are pretty much the things that I tried. And then after that, I kind of played it as intended and just tried to maximize score. But I never got a higher score than that first game that I played, which is very disheartening.
That's wild. What was your high score, if you don't mind me asking?
Very low, Ryan. So
16.
you take Ryan tier and like divide it by 4 or 5, and then you'll get to where I'm at.
Did you get to triple digits?
Yeah, it was like 130 or 150, something like that.
Okay, nice. Don, did you find that the more you played the game, the worse you became at it?
No, I definitely got better each time.
Yeah, me too.
I went up by like 20 each time.
I felt like there was a really steady learning curve. Like it wasn't difficult to learn it, but I definitely got better as I went along and kept playing.
I think because I spent so much time trying to break it.
That's classic Nick.
I think I got up into the 400 range, and I feel like 500 is attainable. That's going to be my next goal.
Let's see you post that anyway. 35,000.
That's the wrong game. That's Generations. We're talking about Cropbuster.
It kind of looks like on the images on the itch page that it's a 4-digit. Like they made room for 4 digits in the score.
Oh wow!
Like a 1970s
like where it says
bingo.
30. Yeah. And then a little star lights up, and then okay.
That sounds ambitious. Yeah. I ran into some limitations as well, and I'm wondering if maybe you guys can corroborate this. I found that we talked about the crank docking mechanic and how that allows you to go below or above the surface. And when I would start getting into higher levels, progressed further through the game, I found that my crank would occasionally stop sensing, like it would not send me back underground, and I'd have to kind of like dink, like slam it in multiple times before it finally registered, oh, okay, now we're in, and it sunk my worm below the ground. But did you ever find that when you were playing?
So that switch is not super accurate in my experience, and I don't know if
opto or
it's a magnet.
Huh.
So I don't know if there is a physical switch issue there that causes the sensing of it to be delayed. I have not played around with that in the SDK, or if it is a performance thing. So where inputs are lagging because of stuff that's happening in the game. All the processing is being taken up by other parts of the game loop.
Yeah. Interesting.
It happened to me, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, it's just once in a while, and I was moving it just really small to get the really small movements rather to get the crank in and out. I wasn't fully uncranking and fully docking, fully undocking and docking rather.
So
I think
because
it's
it's
just
a magnet, that might be an issue.
part of it.
Yeah.
I can see that. I'd say, I don't know, 1 out of 20 times or something, it wouldn't get it, or 1 out of 10. I don't know. It wasn't that bad. But we were kind of fudging the system though by not fully undocking and docking. But that's what made me go like, oh, we could play this anywhere with just a B button popping in and out. But that would change the dynamics of the game too. Its scoring would be much higher, obviously.
That's true. Go for it, Nick.
I mostly fully undocked the crank. I played it like a super corporate tax evader.
Oh, okay.
So I imagine this worm is part of the same universe. And that other game honed my skills for slamming above and below ground.
This is the tax man in another life. The worm.
Exactly. Karma.
I wanted to mention briefly before we start wrapping things up here that this game gave me light vibes of one of my favorite games of all time, which is Mole Mania. This is the game that I liked so much that I forgot my good bud Don sold it to me and corrected that in a Ryan messed up segment a few episodes ago. Anyhow, with Mole Mania, you've got this like above and below ground, but in Mole Mania, the entire perspective of the camera shifts to underground when you go underground. And so you see where you are and what is underground, and you lose track of what is above ground. The difference with Cropbuster is that the camera stays above ground and you lose sight of where you, the worm player, are. So I guess just the fact that there were a couple different levels to it remind me of that a little bit, but I think Mole Mania is far more of a more complex, thought out puzzle game than Cropbuster is. Cropbuster to me has more, I guess, arcadey vibes as you're trying to run away from the baddies. That was sort of my impression anyway. Don, I know you've played Mole Mania before. Do you have any thoughts on the similarities and differences there?
Yeah, it's been a while to play since I played more Mole Mania, but yeah, this is definitely more of an arcadey vibe. I don't really see a puzzle angle to Cropbuster at all. I also want to mention Cropbuster. Great name.
Totally.
For sure.
Cool. Well, you guys have any final thoughts here you want to use to wrap up this brand spanking new segment that we're doing?
Must play. I give it a must play. I don't know. We're not giving star ratings or anything, but play it.
Yeah, worth checking out.
Agreed.
And did we
good pick, Ryan?
Mention name your own price.
Yeah. Name your own price, and Lady Celery did all the artwork. Is that correct?
Yes, art and concept design by Lady Celery. We neglected to mention that. So very cool. There'll be a link in the show notes so you can grab a copy yourself.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, I had a lot of fun talking about the same game with you this week.
Mm-hmm. Teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah.
Nice getting back to that.
Return to form.
Cool. Well, you, dear listener, can look forward to more similar games being played by your co-hosts here moving forward. And if you want to get in on the fun, we are going to toss out our upcoming show, Playdate Pixel Panic. What is this?
Pixel Panel, right?
Pixel Panel game in our Discord. So, hey, just one more reason to hop on the friendliest Discord around. Hop onto the Hello Playdate Discord. You can find the link in our show notes, I think. Is that something that happens, Don?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Speaking of show notes, why don't you take us out? Let us know what we can find in those show notes.
Yeah, playdatepodcast.com is our website. There's still a Twitter link in there. I just added the Mammoth name. I don't know how to link to
Mastodon.
Oh, whatever. Mastodon. One of those metal bands. I don't know. There's a link in there. Anyway, just hop on the Discord. You'll find all that stuff in the show notes and whatnot. but come chat.
Okay, find us on the new Metallica.com.
Hey, I don't want to get sued. Let's slow down.
You guys, before we close out, can I say something?
Sure.
Yes,
stop
we've
recording.
transitioned now into the boopity boop 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 boop. Nick, for amusement only games update of the episode. Nick, what's going on?
Moved into that dedicated manufacturing space, and that is going super well.
Yes.
With the help of my buddy Ryan, who came to see me for my 40th birthday. So huge thank you to Ryan and Don and everybody who contributed, and a bunch of people did. It was extremely flattering and humbling that so many people contributed to make my 40th birthday such a special event. So thank you all for that very much. And Ryan got to play one of the games that I made while we saw each other. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I've been waiting.
So there's 4 more. And Ryan, I'll just expect you to come down once a week, for the next 4 weeks. And
we can 4 more trips. You couldn't just swap them out?
I could
crack the whip and have him rotating modules.
I made Ryan work that entire time.
And my gosh. Ryan did all the literal heavy lifting.
This is what a Nick birthday party looks like.
Yeah, what the heck?
Well, I had to move into that space. So
we made it happen.
Yeah, we sure did. So
so just out of curiosity, are we being cagey about what all these people contributed to? Because you didn't say what that was.
No. So there were 2 different just amazing gifts. One of them, my wife put together this book that incorporated over 400 photos and
that's unbelievable
quotes and testimonials and all kinds of stuff from friends and different people that I've met through the pinball hobby and now manufacturing and game creation. And it was astounding. I didn't realize she would be able to find contact info for a lot of the people that were included in there, but she did. She worked for months on this thing.
Oh my gosh. As somebody who puts together books, I cannot even believe that she assembled not only the people, like that is the important thing, but assembled 400 photographs in that book for you.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh. Unbelievable.
Every page was themed to a specific thing, like the creation of a particular game or a different show that I exhibited at or whatever project that I was involved with. So I was blown away. Just, I could not believe that so many people did that. And another illustrator and friend of mine, John Chad, drew this amazing illustration of me. He even got my crazy hair correct. So I was just so shocked that he contributed that, and just such a touching thing to receive. And the front cover of the book is my favorite photo of my kids playing the first game that I purchased, and they were very, very, very small. So
it's one of those where the kids are on a stool so they can see the pinball machine. Nick is behind, giving some loving coaching. It was really amazing.
I'm holding Sophia while she's
nice.
Playing. Yeah,
nice.
So yeah, I mean that was momentous. And then momentous gift number 2 was that Ryan and a ton of other people contributed to make a neon sign of the For Amusement Only Games logo. And Ryan, one of the many things that he does is design neon signs. And so I wanted to commission this exact sign from him at some point in the future. But all these people
never told me anything about it. So phew.
All these people came together and made it a reality, a lot sooner than I ever would have. And it was so humbling to think that there's that many people that I've come across that were willing to to work together to make that a reality. Just incredible. So thank
And
you
I
all.
will say that it was not difficult to convince anybody to jump on board on this collaborative present for you. Like everybody was very excited to be a part of it. So yeah, you are a good dude, Nick Baldridge. We all consider ourselves to be lucky to have you in our lives, and hope you have a great next decade or several ahead of you. And
40 more.
yeah, at least.
Well, they'll be illuminated, that's for sure. So that works out. And Ryan and my daughter Ava worked with me and spent about 462 hours hanging the sign, which is very large. And it
Quite
required
literally, we actually could not have done it without the help of your daughter. So I am so pleased. She was so patient, like so patient to get that thing up there with us.
yeah, coming up with new methods that we could work out
New
to
bodily
get this thing. Oh my
contortions to
gosh, it was
not break this.
a real puzzle, but we did it.
Yeah. Now it is safe and secure and it looks great in your game room. Man.
So
Yeah.
getting back to the game that you played, it was Silver Falls, which is the one game that was co-designed by Sophia, and so we all played it together in co-op mode and made it through the game, and it was really cool to hear your reactions to the game. And little sidebar, that's the one game that I've made that all three of us have played. Don was able to play it during the beta phase. Um, so it's pretty cool that I was able to share that with you, that particular game with Sophia. So really neat.
Yeah, that was really great. It was really, not only was it a really fun game and such a different experience than I've had in pinball before, because the soundtrack really sort of slows you down and gets you in a more cerebral headspace, but it's also built on top of a different another playfield that already exists. It's the Heist playfield on the P3, and Heist feels one way, and to play a different game on the same playfield, you would think, oh, there's going to be similarities here. It felt so incredibly different from playing Heist. Don, I don't know if you had that same experience when you played it or not, but it just felt like night and day. If I wasn't cognizant of the fact that I'm playing on the same playfield here, I wouldn't have thought anything of it.
Oh, that's the power of the P3. Have all these
Mm-hmm.
different experiences, but also that speaks to the developers and designers of the games that you can have these different experiences. So yeah,
Yeah.
very, very cool.
Well, thanks you all for everything you did to make my 40th special, and for playing my game, Ryan. And I look forward to chatting with you all again here in a couple weeks.
Sounds
Sounds
good.
good.
Happy birthday, Nick.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We'll catch you soon.
Talk to you later.
Boobity bye.